Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is WireDogSec, back with another video for you guys. Today's video, we are going to continue on with the TryHackMe Offensive Security Learning Path. This is the Kenobi room here. It says walkthrough on exploiting a Linux machine, enumerate Samba for shares, manipulate a vulnerable version of Pro FTPD, and escalate your privileges with path variable manipulation. Now, let's go ahead and dive into it. Task 1, deploy the vulnerable machine, which I have already done. Since this room will cover accessing a Samba share, manipulating a vulnerable version of ProFTP to gain initial access and escalate your privileges to root via a SUID binary. Make sure you've connected to our network and deployed the machine, which we've already done. Scan the machine with Nmap, how many ports are open? So let's go ahead and check my Nmap here. And this is what my Nmap flags look like. All right. And let's go ahead and check how many ports are open. All right. We got, let's see here, port 21. So that's one. You got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 ports are open. So let's go ahead and do that. Task number 2, enumerating Samba for shares. Let's see what they have for us, folks. Samba is the standard Windows interoperability suite of programs for Linux and Unix. It allows end users to access and use files, printers, and other commonly shared resources on a company's intranet or internet. It often referred to as network file system. Samba is based on the common client server protocol of server message block SMB. SMB is developed only for Windows. Without Samba, other computer platforms would be isolated from Windows machines, even if they were part of the same network. All right, answer some questions below. Using Nmap, we can enumerate a machine for SMB shares. Nmap has the ability to to automate a variety of networking tasks. There's a script to enumerate shares, so let's go ahead and do our old trusty copy and paste. All right, let's go ahead and clear all this stuff out of here and paste that in there. Now, if this was an actual like CTF or actual engagement, you'd probably want to send this to some kind of file so you can reference it later, right? All right, SMB has 2 ports, 445 and 139. Port 139, SMB originally ran on top of NetBIOS using port 139. NetBIOS is an older transport layer that allows Windows computers to talk to each other on the same network. Port 445. Later versions of SMB after Windows 2000 began to use port 445 on top of a TCP stack. Using TCP allows SMB to work over the internet. Using the nmap command above, how many shares have you found? And if we examine our output from Nmap, we can take a look at how many of these shares were discovered. All right, so looks like we got 1, 2, 3, 3 shares. So that's going to be our answer for this one. And it says, on most distributions of Linux, SMB client is already installed. Let's inspect one of the shares. So let's go ahead and copy and paste this over. All right, so let's go ahead and clear this out. There we go. And all right, so we're logging in as anonymous, it looks like, possibly. It says using your machine, connect to the machine's network share. Once you've connected, list the files. So the list of files, let's try dir. Ah, awesome. And the file in question is going to be log.txt. There we go. Also, on another note, you can use something like enum for Linux to also enumerate SMB shares and Samba shares. All right, so I'm just gonna let this run. And let's go back over here. You can recursively download the SMB share too. Submit the username and password as nothing. So let's go ahead and try that. And I believe it probably wants us to exit out of this, but let's see if it works in here. I'm not familiar with this command here. Yeah. So we have to exit out of this and then let's try it. So there we go. Okay. And it downloaded the log.txt file. It says open the file on the share. There is a few interesting things found. Information generated for Kenobi when generating an SSH key for the user. Information about the Pro FTPD server. What port is FTP running on? All right, so let's go ahead and clear all this out here and do an ls, and we can just do we can just cat this file, I'm sure. So let's go ahead and cat it. There we go. And go through and try to review some of this information inside of this file. It wants us to find what port it's running on. So let's see here. All right, so looks like basic configuration stuff there. Set up which user server will run on. And it looks like port 21 is the standard port. Don't use IPv, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so it looks like port 21 is what's configured for this. And let's just take a look at our new for Linux here. All right, it finished, but you go back and you go in and review the output here, and it discovered some additional information that could possibly help you out when you're enumerating these types of shares and such. All right. I'm not going to go through all this here, but I'm just showing you another tool you could possibly use to enumerate shares and such. So let's go back over to what we were looking at here, this file. It says your earlier nmap scan will have shown ports 111 running the server's RPC bind. This is just a server that converts remote procedure call RPC program number into universal addresses. When an RPC service is started, it tells RPC bind the address at which it is listening and the RPC program number it's prepared to serve. In our case, port 111 is access to a network file system. Let's use nmap to enumerate this. So let's go ahead and do our old trusty copy and paste. All right. So let's go ahead and clear all this out and then paste this over like so. There we go. It says, what mount can we see? And let's see here. Show mount. It looks like it's going to be this var. All right, /var is what we're looking at here. Awesome. So let's go ahead and continue on to task number 3. Gain initial access with Pro FTPD. Let's see what they have for us. Pro FTPD is a free and open source FTP server compatible with Unix and Windows systems. It's also been vulnerable in the past. Software versions, answer the questions. Let's get the version of Pro FTP. Use NCAT or netcat to connect to the machine on the FTP port. What is the version? All right, so let's go ahead and try that. Let's go ahead and clear all this out of here, and let's use netcat. All right, so netcat, and let's see. It's going to be ports. It's going to be on port 21. So first off, let's type in the machine we want to connect to. So 10.209.92, and then the port's going to be 21. And there we go. There's our version here. It looks like it's going to be version 1.3.5. So 1.3.5 is going to be the answer for this one. We can use searchsploit to find exploits for a particular software version. Searchsploit is basically just a command line search tool from exploitdb.com. How many exploits are there for ProFTP running? Hey everybody, just a quick little blurb here. As you can see here, most people that view my channel are not subscribers. If you're new here, please consider subscribing to the channel. If you're enjoying the video, please consider hitting the like button. It helps get me in the algorithm, helps spread the good word out there, helps bring more people and increase our glorious community here. All right, I'm all about helping out others. I know what it's like to come up in cybersecurity or even try to get into cybersecurity and not knowing where to look. I'm just having this channel up so I can help out other people. All right, that's all I got. It says to use searchsploit to figure out how many exploits are available for this version. Looks like 1, 2, 3, and 4 are available. So there we go. You should have found an exploit from ProFTP's mod underscore copy module. All right. The mod copy module implements site cpfr and site cpto commands, which can be used to copy files, directories from one place to another on the server. Any unauthenticated client can leverage these commands to copy files from any part of the system or file system to a chosen destination. We know that the FTP service is running as the Kenobi user from the file and share, and an SSH key is generated for that user. All right, complete. We're now going to copy Kenobi's private key using site cpfr and site cpto commands. All right, so they want us to reconnect to it again using netcat here. So let's just do this here. And let's follow along what they have inside of this here. So let's do site cpfr, and then home Kenobi. Okay, and then the ID underscore RSA. Okay, and then site CPTO. Awesome. Copy successful. We knew that the var directory was a mount we could use from task 2, question 4. So we've now moved Kenobi's private key to var temp directory. All right. Let's mount the var temp directory on the machine. So let's go ahead and do that here. Copy and paste. All right. So let me go ahead and exit out of this here. All right. We'll just hit Control C and clear all this stuff out. Okay. All right. And it looks just like this picture here. We now have a network mount on our deployed machine. We can go to var temp and get the private key to log in to Kenobi's account. So let's go ahead and do that. All right. Okay, so this should be it right there. And let's do a sudo. There we go. Awesome. So SSH, I to interact, and we're going to interact with this file here, and then Kenobi at the IP address of the target machine, which is going to be this here, this 10.10.209.92. Enter. Awesome. And we're going to hit yes. Okay, there we are. Now we're logged in. What is Kenobi's user flag? Navigate it here. And if we just navigate to this directory here, let's do an ls to see where we're at first. Oh, okay, we're already in there. Here we go. Awesome. So go ahead and grab the contents of that flag and plug it in here. Then task number 4. We're going to talk about privilege escalation with path variable manipulation. And let's see what this is about. All right, it says, let's first understand what SUID, SGID, and sticky bits are. So be sure to read through this table here. All right, SUID bit, CGID bit, and the sticky bit. Answer the questions below. SUID bits can be dangerous. Some binaries, such as passwd, need to be run with elevated privileges as it's resetting your password on the system. However, other custom files could have, that could have the SUID bit can lead to all sorts of issues. To search the file, I guess the system for these types of files, run the following command. All right, which we know about this already. What file looks particularly out of the ordinary? So we got to go through and review all this here to determine which file looks out of the ordinary. Okay, after taking a look through our findings here, the one in particular that looks out of the ordinary is going to be this user bin menu. All right, so there we go there, and it wants us to run it. And to do that, all you got to do is type in menu, okay? And it says how many options appear. Well, there's 3 options, as we can see there. So let's go ahead and do that. 3, it says strings is a command on Linux that looks for human readable strings on a binary. This is what strings looks like, right? So you did strings on user bin menu, and you go through, you can see all kinds of information about this particular binary. So if we scroll down in here, we can see what they're talking about in that screenshot up here, right? We got curl, uname, ifconfig, stuff like that, all right? This shows us the binary is running without a full path, e.g. not using user bin curl or user bin uname. As this file runs as the root user privileges, we can manipulate our path to gain a root shell. All right, so let's see here. And they want us to do this here to do this. All right, so let's see. I guess we could play around with it real quick and see these other things. Okay. All right. Anyway, let's continue on. And so they want us to cd into temp. All right. And let's go ahead and do this echo bin sh to curl. Okay. And then hit 1. And now we are root, as it looks like. There we go. my root. Awesome. So now, since we copied the bin shell, called it curl, gave it the correct permissions, and then put it location in our path. This meant that when the user bin menu binary was run, it's using our path variable to find the curl binary, which is actually a version of user sh, as well as the file being run as root. It runs our shell as root. Okay, awesome. Now we can go in and try to find this flag here. All right, so let's go ahead and cd back here, cd into root, like so. Do an ls and then cat root, like so, to get that file content. There we go. That pretty much wraps up this video here. Awesome. So now, obviously, this is very CTF-like. All right, I'm not sure how often you'll find this in the real world, if at all, but it does get you thinking about the mindset of the ethical hacking or penetration testing process, right? We had to go in and do some initial scanning, reconnaissance, enumeration of what we found, discovered various different ports, services running on them. Then we did some research on the versions of whatever software or service was running on that port. Found out that there was a vulnerable version. Took a pretty much exploited it, right? Then got a initial foothold of the machine. There's also that enumeration of the Samba share. We found some information on there, and you may come across that as well on like certificate or certification exams. Even in the real world, you might come across some files, and if you go through those files, you can find out some more information about the particular environment you're in. Maybe even find credentials or um, SSH keys or stuff like that. All right. But anyway, thank you all for taking the time to watch my video. If you enjoyed the video, found it of value, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you later.